when someone's saying, I'm not looking for anything serious right now, that's one of the biggest red
Yeah.
flags, unless
Really?
you are literally in the exact same position where you're truly not either, and you can accept that that person may never see you as anything more. That's fine. But if you're a lover, if you want to fall in love, if you're open to a relationship and you're seeing someone that's telling you right now, I'm just not looking for anything serious right now, they're telling you, I don't
Yeah.
see you as that potential person. That's a red
Take it for
flag.
what it is. Like, listen to them.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Don't Let It Stew. Today, we are diving into a really important and I think kind of like a timely subject. With Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow, love is in the air for a lot of people, but for some, not so much. And, you know, it's a tough reminder of relationships that weren't so healthy. So I got the perfect guest here today to kind of heal, to recognize the red flags, to recognize toxicity, find the strength, and move forward with confidence. Welcome to the podcast, Ashley. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good. It's so funny. I came across Ashley like after my breakup in my last relationship. You know, you're going to all these places, especially on like social media, and you're like, I need reasons. Why did this happen? So forward, like, what kind of relationship was I in? And like, you popped up, like, and Dr. Romney popped up, like, Lewis Hose, or is it Lewis? Lewis Hose,
House,
is
I
it?
think it is. Yeah.
House, yeah.
Love him too.
He popped up, and then I have David Guillaume with Kabbalah, my Kabbalah teacher. Like, he talks a lot about it, and so it was amazing. So like all these amazing people popped up, and so I followed you, and so you keep popping up, and I love your messaging and so forth. So I was like, okay, I want to start getting experts on the podcast. I usually talk about Housewives, Bravo,
I
just
love it.
stuff that's not cooking, right? Like, because I cook and I do recipes all the time and stuff like that. So I was like, no, but I love other stuff too, and I love like learning about myself and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming on today. This is fun. I thought it'd be kind of great because Valentine's Day is
Well,
tomorrow.
no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And hey,
You know
there
what I
might be a
mean?
lot of people breaking up today and tomorrow, and they might need just a little boost, you know?
I know. I was on the phone with my friend Megan earlier, and I was like to Megan, I have this like, specialist on. She's going to talk about like relationships and toxicity and stuff like that. I'm going to be like, hey, everyone, listen up. There's still time before tomorrow.
Valentine's can be about you, actually. It can.
Yeah,
I'll
it
be
really,
spending
really
my
can.
Valentine's Day, well, not alone because I'll be doing my podcast, but I won't be doing anything
Yeah,
romantic unless it's for myself. So,
yeah, of course. Can I ask you a quick question? Just to introduce yourself for a bit for everybody, and like, how did you kind of fall into this of really kind of like helping people? I
yeah.
guess, right?
Yeah, no, I love that question. So, I will say this. I have been like a natural encourager my entire life. I don't know if I got it from my
Yeah.
dad or where that came from, but it's just always been my personality. And I think just
Mm,
being in a big family and a broken family, and feeling so many big emotions as a kid and not having like a an outlet for that, I think it just my heartstrings just get pulled so easily when I feel like other people are struggling. Um,
yeah, like empath, like
yeah.
myself. Yeah.
So I just naturally I'm an encourager, and I love that about myself.
Mm,
But when my platform started a couple, I guess it's almost been 3 years ago now, and it was
okay.
just kind of like on TikTok, just me making really stupid skits and things like that, trying to get the day through the days, and um, then I started really struggling mentally and emotionally in my marriage, and I started kind of just talking about it, not like in specifics, but then
Yeah.
I left my marriage. And as I left my marriage and I started dating, I started realizing that I was in these horrific patterns of choosing really toxic and unhealthy people. And
Got it.
while I knew I wasn't necessarily the problem with the way I was being treated, I also knew that
Yeah.
I was at least part of the problem for allowing it.
Sure.
And so I went on this like journey of just like, how do I get to a place in myself where one, I see toxicity for what it is,
Yeah.
for two, where I no longer feel the need or the curiosity to understand it, and I can put myself
Hmm.
first, and put what's
Yeah.
best for me first, as opposed to trying to, overly understand someone or why they do what they do or all of these things. So I just went down that journey and I just started talking about it online, and I just started encouraging
Yeah.
people with what I felt like I was learning for myself. And it just kind of took off from there. So,
No, that's really cool. I mean, it's like what I grab from that. It's almost like, and tell me if you would agree with me here. Like we go through all our lives, and I've been in so many different relationships, and what they say, and even like David says this in Kabbalah as well. It's like, look, the lessons will keep turning up for you until you actually wake up and learn.
amen.
Like it'll keep presenting itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like yourself. I would get in these relationships. Not all were toxic at all. Like by no means. They just didn't work
Yeah.
out or whatever it was. But I feel like as time kind of went on, they did kind of get a bit worse.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, you need to fucking wake up, Stu, because like, listen, like, yes, can we sit here? You shouldn't have done this to me. When I asked you to respect these boundaries, why do you have to continue doing them? Why do you have to continue hurting me? I thought I'm doing the right thing. You want boundaries. I want boundaries. How come I respect yours, but you don't respect
Yeah.
mine? It's like, do you even fucking love me?
Yeah.
Like, so, and then, it's all those questions. And you're like, well, it's so frustrating. And then like just it's one day, and it really was one day for me. I was like, and I didn't want to leave
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And I just was like, come on, Milo, we gotta go. I gotta pack my shit.
Yep.
I just don't feel respected. And I need to figure this out. It
Yes.
wasn't like I need to meet someone better. I need to
Yes.
meet some whatever. I just was like, I need to figure this out. I don't fucking know how I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And but I got there.
Mm-hmm.
I did find Kabbalah, and I did go into that, and I enrolled in those classes, and I've been doing it now. God, I'm in Kabbalah 5. I'm going back to Kabbalah 1. I have it tonight, actually. And through that, I mean, I've gone to therapy. I just felt like I went every week.
Yeah.
And I just was fucking complaining about the same thing. And I wasn't getting anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It's just, and I was like, I'm paying $250, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, and it's a great venting session for an hour. Like, don't get me wrong.
But so is the podcast,
Yeah, like this is great having you on too. And so, with the classes of Kabbalah, they focus on tikkun and your triggers, and and what upsets you, and like, but they always ask you like to really ask yourself the questions: why? Why does this upset you? Why are you letting this happen to you? Why? Like it's all that. Like just keep asking. And through that, I was able to figure out, with a lot of like reading books and about personality disorders and all that stuff too, to learn. But yeah.
Well, I think that we get into relationships, and I like how you said you left even though you didn't want to, because I think
No.
so many
Yeah.
people think I have to stay here until I feel like I'm ready to leave. And the
Uh-huh.
problem is that when you really truly love someone, you'll almost never feel ready to leave. But when you
Yeah.
look at the situation in front of you and you realize that what is in front of you is more important than how you feel about it, you
Yeah.
understand that, like, okay, I have to go. It's not about whether I want to go.
Yeah.
It's not about whether it's going to feel good.
Uh-huh.
It's not about whether it's the best thing for them. What matters is that what is in front of me is not what I deserve. It's not what I want. It's
Yeah.
not what I need.
Uh-huh.
And this is not going anywhere. So you have to leave. You have to
Yeah.
be willing to say, even if this hurts so bad, and it takes me a month to get
Hmm.
back out of my bed, I'm doing this
Yeah.
because it's what's best for me, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's a
And yeah,
struggle. It's a struggle. It's hard.
it is. I always, no matter like all the relationships like that have ended in my life, like I've always stayed with this saying, and I always would say it to myself, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be shitty right now, but and every single time you've come out the other side,
That's right.
and it's always going to be okay.
That's right.
And it's like, so that I always can live by and stuff like that. It still sucks, the pain of it and all that
Yes,
kind of stuff.
it does.
But I would always tell myself, because it is always going to be okay.
Yes, it is.
It just is.
There is not a single
Yeah.
thing that,
Yeah.
if you're still here and you're breathing, you've survived it all so far. And so it's
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
have to sometimes give ourselves more credit too. And I think that's why
For
healing
sure.
is so important, because when you can truly get to know yourself on a deeper level and realize who you are, where your trauma is coming from, where your triggers are coming
Yeah.
from, what you actually need in a partner, you can get so much
Hmm.
clearer about the relationships
Wow.
that you step into. And you're no longer choosing out of, ooh, I really like them and they're hot. You're choosing based off of this
Yeah.
person would actually make a great partner for me and I would make a great partner for them.
Yeah. And it just was like, it's, I always refer back to that. After this happened, I remember watching a clip. I know it, I was, because I was watching people like you and talking about relationships and stuff like that. And I would always see that clip of Megan Fox on Drew Barrymore's show. Do you ever see that?
Yeah.
You know the
I
one I'm
know
talking about?
exactly
Go
what you're
look it up,
talking about.
anybody. It's actually it's an incredible kind of little speech she gives to Drew, but it took me months afterwards. I was like, why? Like, why? And then and I watched that clip and I was like, shit, I think like I fell in love with the potential and not the reality.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so hard to leave,
Yeah.
because I always thought, just another few weeks, it'll get better. It'll get better. You know, it's not that bad. It's like whatever you tell yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You
it
know,
sucks. It sucks that, like, it's great when you realize it, but then
yes.
it's like, fuck.
But the truth is, if
Yeah.
you aren't in love with the reality, then the potential doesn't matter. The potential
Yeah.
doesn't matter because there's
Hmm.
no guarantees, right? So,
No, there's no guarantees. That's like, but you know what? I'll always take the fucking risk and I will
yeah, love's worth
try
it.
65 times.
Love
Yeah,
is
it's worth
worth the
it.
risk, and that's the only
Uh
way.
huh. Yeah. I love the feeling of it. I love being in it. I
Yes,
love like the fun of it. And like, it's just, it's awesome.
it
And
is
you know what I mean? And
awesome.
it's like, I would do it all over. Like, I would do it all over again.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Oh, gee. So, okay. So we're trying to like pick through this. Okay. So I kind of broke it down the episode. You know, this is kind of the first kind of episode I've done something like this. So kind of everybody like bear with me. So understanding toxic relationships. So like what defines a toxic relationship? What are some of the red flags people often overlook?
Well, I
Like
would
if you, in your
say
opinion, right?
um, a relationship can be toxic even with two great people. And I think that we
Yeah.
often think of, oh, a toxic relationship is going to be with like a narcissist. It's going to be with like a psychopath.
Hmm.
Those are true
Yeah.
too. That's true too. But
Yeah.
you can get into a relationship with a decent person and it can still be
Yeah.
toxic because you are both triggering each other's wounds and neither of you are in a place of healing. Right. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's less important to label whether it's toxic or not, and more important
Mm,
to ask yourself, does this feel good or does this hurt? And
yeah.
the red flags can be different for everyone. Obviously, there's very obvious red flags, right? Like someone who's, struggling with addiction, someone who is a completely narcissistic person that doesn't care about anybody but themselves, and it's obvious. Like there
Sure.
are obvious red flags that people can look into, right? But the red flags that are the most alarming are the ones that you wouldn't look for naturally, but you feel them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I feel like I never experienced some of the red flags before.
Yeah.
So I didn't fucking know. I just didn't know
Yes.
because I'd never experienced it before.
Yeah.
So I had to go through it to learn it
Language
to
is
now not do
huge.
it again or
How
whatever.
a person
Yeah.
is talking to you, even in the beginning, like one of the things that women overlook in particular, but I'm sure men do this too. When someone's saying, I'm not looking for anything serious right now, that's one of the biggest red
Yeah.
flags, unless you're literally in the exact same position where you're truly not either, and you can accept that that person may never see you as anything more, that's fine. But if you're a lover, if you want to fall in love, if you're open to a relationship and you're seeing someone that's telling you right now, I'm just not looking for anything serious right now, they're telling you, I don't
Yeah.
see you as that potential person. That's a red
Take it for
flag.
what it is. Like, listen to them. They're
Yes.
telling you who they are. And it's like, if you understand it and let them be who they are, then it's fine. Okay, great. Let's go for a few drinks. Let's just be friends.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And just take it for what it is
Take it for
and
what it
nothing
is.
more. If
Exactly.
they're saying that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think another red flag is the way that they are in the other relationships in their life. Like if they're talking negatively about every single person in their life, if every person in their life isn't talking to them because,
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
person did to them, or it's just people who are healthy. Sometimes we go through seasons of isolation when we're healing, but for the most part, people who are healthy have close bonds with others. Like they just do. And so
Mm.
And it doesn't mean you have to have a big circle. I have a very small circle, right? I only have a few,
Yeah.
like a handful of people that I would go to with anything. And I'm pretty low key and keep to myself a lot. But the bonds that I do have are very deep. They're very deep bonds. And those people would have my back and I would have theirs. And so I think it's a
Right.
red
Yeah. Yeah.
flag when you meet someone who doesn't have any other bond in their life that is significant to them. Because that's
Yeah.
signifying that they don't have that capacity to hold a
To
relationship to a
receive.
certain.
Yeah. To hold. Okay. Yeah. 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 That makes sense. That does make a lot of
But
sense.
those are little things we don't think
Oh,
about too, you know. Um,
yeah. No, it's fun. It's really good. It's really interesting. It's like, I feel like now I'm more aware than ever. I mean, I've gone on a ton of dates, but I'm not like, oh, he did this, he did that. It's just, it's,
yeah, you're not looking
it's,
for every
I'm just trying to
flaw.
like go on and just enjoy it now without even thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cause that kind of fucking ruins it
Yeah, it
too, you
does.
know?
You can't do that. And here's the thing. The really big red flags are always going to show themselves even if you're not looking for them, right? They're usually pretty glaring.
Always.
And the little ones
But
you
I love the way
feel.
we just, but I love the ones that we just like, it's always hindsight. Like you go back and it's like, yeah, they're all fucking there. I
We're
just
all
wanted to
there.
ignore them because ignorance is bliss, and I wanted it to play out, and
Right.
I got what I deserved. Like,
Yes,
and
yes.
I could say that, but I still had a fucking good time, and we still did have a really good time, and it was shitty times, and it was good times, and it's like you try and hold on to the good times to get you through another few weeks, but yeah, it's the up and down, and it's
People are different to
exciting
it.
sometimes, but then you get jaded at the end, and
You
you're
sure
like,
do.
okay, fuck, yeah,
Yeah, and that's
it
the
is.
thing.
It's
When you
just
go into it, you
unfortunate.
just got to know, like, do I have the heart to be heartbroken in this again? Like, can I step away from
Yeah,
something knowing that this didn't look or feel right, without having to
yeah.
dive further in to find out why? You know?
And I think if people are doing the work and they and you can see massive change in someone and stuff like that, great. Yeah, like I'm all about that. I think this last like year and a half has been incredible growth for me.
Yeah,
Like a really like it's just I've done so much
that's
and
good.
learned so much about myself, which is cool. So
Well,
like
I'm
that
glad to
part
hear
I'm
that.
really thankful for. Yeah, yeah.
It's necessary.
Um yeah. What role does the self-worth play in recognizing and walking away from toxicity?
Ooh, that's
What role does the
huge.
self?
I didn't know how huge
Oh,
that was until I worked on that. I didn't know how negatively I viewed myself until
mm,
about a year and a half ago. I went through a really painful breakup that wasn't even that significant. And I thought to myself, like, why does this hurt me so bad when it wasn't that significant of a relationship?
yeah,
And I realized it was because of how badly I felt about myself. Like, so every insecurity that I had was just like,
mm,
like blowing up my mind. And like, so it's just sitting in the deepest darkest thoughts and emotions that I had about myself, and the deep seated negative beliefs that I had about myself. But what I realized once I did the work, because I've been single for about a year and a half, I've kind of talked to a few different people here and there.
same.
And good for you, good for you. It's so necessary, it's so
Yeah.
necessary. I wouldn't be who I
No,
am if
I'm
I
having a
hadn't done it.
lovely time. I'm having a lovely time.
Yes,
It's
and I
nice.
did too. It was great. But
Yeah.
I'm realizing now that I approach every possible relationship in a 100% different way. I'm not going in
Yeah.
like waiting to be validated, looking to be liked. I'm going
Oh
in
yeah.
going, I know that I'm a great human. I know the capacity I have to love. I know that I'm a joy to be around, and I know that I deserve that. And so now when I see the little things that I used to just pass up and push over because it was like, well, I don't really feel worth it
Sure.
anyway. Now I'm going, no, you know what? I'm worth better than that, and I don't even care to see where this goes. I don't care.
Yeah. That's the massive thing too. Because it is like stuff would happen and I'd be like, oh no, it's fine.
Yes.
I'm not gonna have a fight about this. It's fine. But I know it's not right.
Yes.
Or still I'm gonna let it go. And so it's like, why the fuck am I letting that go? Like, no, I need to call it out. But then when I would call stuff out, massive fight.
Yeah.
So it's just easier just to, and it was kind of the same going back to my mom as well. Like it's like for my mother as well. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to avoid the drama. I'm going to avoid it. Like, I don't need to, I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to fucking say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I got older and she
Mm-hmm.
got older, I was like, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, no, like when she's dead now, but
Well, I'm
it's like this
sorry.
is,
I'm not
no, it's
laughing at
okay.
that. I just
Uh, But I did start to call her out towards the end, and then she did kind of start to respect me, and I was just like, "No, you
Mm,
can't talk to me like that anymore. Like I'm not 16, you
yeah.
know."
Yeah,
But yeah, it
standards are
comes from
important.
all that.
Standards are
Yeah,
important, and when you don't have self-worth, it's really hard to hold them because you
it
feel
is.
like if this person doesn't like me, then will anybody? Versus when you have that standard set for yourself of if this person doesn't meet this standard, there's always someone else. I'm a great
And I think,
person. Like
yeah, and I think for me, it's just like it's a bit of like laziness as well. It's like I don't want to go back out there again. I don't want to start looking for people because it's so hard to find someone that like I'm attracted to,
yeah.
that I laugh so much with, that like I have good sex with, and
Mhm.
this that, and, the, and they kind of tick all these boxes. And I'm like, oh, there's this little kind of drama over here or a bit of chaos. I'm like, oh, that's fine. I can deal with that. But it's like, but that will get you in the
Yeah,
end.
well, every
It's
time.
unfortunate. One of it will.
Uh-huh.
One fucking part of it will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every time.
it's crazy. Um, what do you think is the turning point, or like this is kind of for you, I guess. What was the turning point in your journey that made you say like enough is enough? Like what's like the fucking like what do you think it is within you? And this is like for me too, like or for anybody. Like, what is it like where's the moment where you're just like fuck, like I gotta go. Like I had my turning point where I just like I have to leave for whatever, you know? What do you
Yeah.
think that is?
Well, it depends. There were two different scenarios. One was just looking at the reality in front of me and going, if could I live the rest of my life if this is all it would ever
Mm,
be?
yeah.
And I knew the answer was no. I
Yeah.
knew the answer is no because I knew it deserved more
Yeah.
and I wanted more. And then the other thing was with the breakup that I'd had a year and a half ago, realizing that I was tired of creating my own suffering. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was sick
Yeah.
of being in suffering. I was sick of feeling insecure and depressed and sad and feeling like I wasn't going to be chosen and feeling like I needed someone. I was sick of it. And I was sick of
Yeah.
allowing people in my life that consistently put me back in that same exact position. And so I knew I had to change me. I knew I did. And that was the turning point for me was going, I can't count on other people to fulfill me anymore because they're not. They're going to continually disappoint me.
No,
And
that's
I'm sick of
that's
suffering.
true. That's yeah.
I was so tired
Like
of
if
being
you're going
depressed.
out there, yeah. Like if you're going out there thinking someone's going to make you happy, it's a
Hmm.
fucking big. It's the biggest misconception ever. Like, and I
Yeah.
kind of thought that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I feel pretty good about myself. I'm happy. If I just meet someone, like it'll be a bonus, and I'll be just super happy. And it's like, no, like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm happier now, where I'm so ready for a relationship, like a healthy one or whatever that is, than I was before. I feel
Yeah.
way better about going into something now than I ever did.
Yes. Peaceful. You feel peaceful
Yeah.
about it, because you know you're going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, I'm finally at that place too in my life where I'm like, if the love of my life came into my space tomorrow and didn't choose me, I would still be just fine. Like I
Yeah.
would, yeah, it might suck. Might be like, oh, that could have been something amazing, but I'd
Yeah.
still be okay. And
Yeah.
a year and a half ago, that would have destroyed me. Absolutely destroyed me.
Um, when you leave, like what's this most significant challenge do you think people have when they leave? Like, and I guess like is there any tips out there for like I guess like how do you speed up the process? That's really kind of it's a kind of good question. Like how do you overcome it? And everybody wants that like the fast track it. You know, I don't want to feel like this
Well,
anymore. Like how do I fast track this shit? You know?
I don't know that there's a fast track to it, but I will
Yeah.
say that the more willing you are to sit in the discomfort of it and actually feel
Mm,
it and
yes.
let it work itself out through you, the faster it processes through your
Yeah.
body and your mind.
I
And so
agree
many
with
people
that.
are like, okay, I got to go back to work. I mean, obviously, you have to keep living your life. You can't just, your life doesn't get to just stop because you're depressed and sad that someone left you or whatever. But when you avoid it, it sits here. It
That's the
sits
thing.
here.
Yeah.
So you have, whether it's therapy, whether it's you have a friend or a support system that you can go to, you need to be talking about it. You need to be letting out your emotions and
Mhm.
crying and allowing yourself to go through all the stages of the grief. And the more you allow space for that, the sooner you're going to get to the other side of it.
Yeah. I like to kind of set a time like now and just they kind of say in Kabbalah like kind of it's okay to feel, go through it, like set a time, like set it, like go, okay, I'm going to take this month to grieve it or 2 months to grieve it. But then after that, we got to move
Yeah.
on. Like we got to let
Yeah,
go and we
that's
got to
good.
move on and that's it. Like, so choose
Yeah.
something. And then it's like, okay, it's okay to feel like this. It's okay to do this or
Yes.
like, or whatever, like if whatever it is, like, but
And
it's not a
making
bad idea to choose a timeline for yourself.
yes. And making that choice doesn't mean you won't still feel it.
Of
Right?
course.
It's
You can
an
always pop up.
intention. It's
Yeah.
not like a foolproof, right? But I've said that
Yeah.
before too, actually, because if you don't make the choice of I'm moving forward now, you won't. You won't. Your
Yeah.
grief can last for 10 years if you want it to. It
And that's
can.
it. What you said,
But
like setting the intention, like you're putting it out there in the universe. You're like, I'm setting the intention and it'll come. Like it'll naturally
yes.
kind of come and it'll work its way through it if you set the
Yes.
intention.
Yeah, it will. And you have to. And you deserve to, because life does go on and you will be happy again. And so there's no point in dwelling in something that you cannot change anyway. And another thing I think I wish I would have known this, not to let my feelings after a breakup guide me to make stupid decisions.
Yeah.
Um, I can't tell you many times in my emotions I texted someone that I knew it was over with, or I tried to get back
Mm,
together, or all of these things. A lot of the time we want that connection to stay. We want that
yeah.
some sort of like line to still
Oh,
be there between you and that person, but
thousand
you
percent.
have to cut
Yes.
it.
It's
You
like,
have to cut it and you have to go, these feelings are mine.
this is the first time I've just like been literally like fucking tie my hands up and be like, you ain't texting anybody. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I was always doing that. And then
Yeah.
I always say this myself, it's like, you can't expect anything different to happen if you keep doing the same things. You just
Yeah,
can't. It's, you know
exactly.
what I mean? And I just was like, no. I was like, how was that work? So I always say to myself, Stu, how has that worked out for you in the past? It hasn't.
Yeah,
So then
it
don't do it.
doesn't.
And I just talk myself out of it and it's fine. And I haven't done it, which is like, this is, it's just, but it
And
is
you
like
regret
you
it every
want
time
that
you
to be,
do it.
a fucking 1,000%. And the
Every
thing about
time.
it is, even if they do text you back, you're still pissed
Yeah.
off.
You're still like, damn it, why did I do that? Why?
Because they're like, it's like, oh, great, they text me back. Okay, but now I want to keep conversation going. But then they don't. And
Yes.
it's like, oh, fuck. No, you never win with that. You never
You
do.
don't. You sure don't.
It's like, yeah, that's a crazy one. And because you just want to feel that bit of connection again. It's so
So
addicting. Yeah.
bad. It is addicting.
What's your take on like cutting off all contact versus maintaining some level of, I guess we kind of just talked about it.
Well, it depends too on the situation. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're coming out of an abusive, toxic cycle, you have to cut it off.
Yeah,
You have to.
100%. Yeah.
You have no other option if you know what's good for you and you want what's good for you. If it was a great person and you're a good person and things just didn't work out and you both know that it's like time to move forward in life, I don't see any reason to block them or cut them out of your life. But, you have to still be able to have the boundaries of I still have to
Mm.
move forward, even if the
Yep.
door's still a little bit cracked.
Yeah. I think like cutting it off like initially is like it's so important and not hearing any outside noise or anything like just to move through it because it's like even if you hear about the person through friends or whatnot there's still that string, there's still that bit of
Yes,
attachment there that kind of
which is
gets like you,
dangerous.
you might move 10 steps forward one week and then you hear something about them and it's like fuck, I just fell back six
Yes,
steps and it's like you want to keep
100%.
moving and then like I'm all about like time, having a sit down in like a year and a half or whatever, 2 years or whatever it is,
Yeah.
if it's clear because you're in such a better space now, you're not emotionally like fucking spinning out,
Yeah.
so you can actually
Spiraling.
have like a clear
Yes.
conversation and an adult one hopefully and so forth. But yeah, that's
I agree. I
cut it off at
agree.
the
And
beginning for
I'm not a
sure.
big blocker per
Yeah, no,
se,
me
but I will
neither,
tell
I'm
you
not.
this. Anyone who's been disrespectful to me toward in the end of a breakup, I've always blocked. And not because I care if they see my stuff. I'm not one of those people that's like you just don't get
I
to
don't
see
give a
me
shit.
thriving anymore. I
Yeah,
don't care about that. But for my own peace, not to have to see them, not to have to be reminded of them every single
sure.
time I'm on my online or whatever. I block people when it's to protect myself, you
Sure.
know?
Like I'll just mute them or just mute their posts. Like I've muted a lot of
Yeah.
people because if they're attached to my ex or something like that. So I just don't see them pop up in photographs and stuff. And that's pure protection. I won't block them. I don't care.
Yeah,
Like, go look at my
right.
shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, if I want to see your stuff, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna figure out a way to see it. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, so just
Right,
like, what's the
right.
point of blocking? You know, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, if there was a book, okay, for someone that's they're breaking up, they're going through a breakup the day before Valentine's Day. Do people break up on Valentine's Day? Or like, I've always heard crazy stories where someone will break up with like somebody the day fucking before, which is really shitty.
I've experienced a breakup a week before, and that was shitty too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it
Because
happens.
I think it's
It
like, because
happens.
Valentine's Day has this kind of like little pressure thing for people. And it's like, fuck,
Mm-hmm.
another Valentine's Day. That means we're progressing into even more serious territory each year
Yeah.
that rolls around. The gifts get a
Yeah.
bit bigger. The flower bouquets get bigger. Like, I want jewelry now. I want this. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not just dinner, like dinner and flowers anymore. But yeah, it's just so crazy. Like, it's insane. I'm really glad you came on today. It's just kind of the perfect.
But you know what?
Um,
Here's my thing. If you break up on Valentine's Day, you have to know that was meant to happen. Like,
oh, you planned
if
that.
there's a part of you that wants to break up with someone or someone breaks up with you on Valentine's Day, that was supposed to happen, you
Yeah,
know?
you're a shitty person if you do that. Just break up with them a
Yeah,
week
I mean, come
before. Like, don't
on. Like,
like do the right thing. Break up a few days later, a few days
at
before,
least, at
or even
least.
a few days after. It's better than the actual
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Let me enjoy the day. Um,
Right.
oh my god. Uh what is the most empowering thing that you think you've done post toxic relationship?
Ooh, told my story.
Told your story. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I told my story, the truth of my story, without worrying about how it affected that person or not. That's a
Um,
hard one to do.
yeah. It
And
is.
that was empowering.
It's scary. That is scary.
It's scary. Yeah. But we're all entitled to that. You know, if someone chooses to show up in your life and take on the role of a villain, then you have the right to tell your story about it.
Yeah. Fine. I'll be the villain in your story. Go ahead, tell the lies about
Yeah.
me. I don't give a fuck. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. At the end of the day, it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about them. It's their stuff. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
that has been a great thing through in Kabbalah is actually being able to just be like, it's their stuff. And like, and they
Yes.
always tell me it's like, hey, don't worry about them. It's none of your fucking business what they think about you. And it's not. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care what Karen thinks in fucking Ohio about me or what.
Right.
It's like
Right.
it really doesn't matter. Like things
No, it
don't matter.
sure
A lot of
doesn't.
things don't matter really. But like, and if you can figure out a way to block those things out, you'll be a lot happier. You'll be a lot
Yeah.
happier. A
And the
lot.
people that know you, that truly know you,
Yeah,
they know what's true and what's not.
you do because it's like if you're like a truthful person and like a kind person, like that always comes through.
Amen.
Oh, and the truth always like rises to the top as well. It just always
And
comes out, and it has for me anyway.
yeah, it sure
So which
does.
has been kind of like it's been kind of like nice to see that happen, and I've had that, and I
Yeah.
literally had to do nothing about it, which is great. If there was a book, do you have any books right now, like a kind of relationship book or post breakup book or anything like that that you recommend for anybody?
You know, it's kind of an old one, but Eat,
Okay,
Pray, Love.
I haven't. Is it really good?
I
I've never read it.
oh, the book and the movie changed my life.
Seen the
Like
movie? Yeah.
yeah, I loved the movie too, but it is just such a good story about doing the hard thing when it comes to relationships because
Mm,
like you know you want more with your
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Like I just thought it was such a beautiful and freeing story. That one really helped me a lot. Even though that's not necessarily the point, it's not like a self-help book, but
Yeah.
it's a really good book after a breakup.
Okay.
Um,
Great.
and so it just kind of, yeah, it depends on like the route you're wanting to take. There's a book called Worthy, and I can't remember the author's name, but it's also
Okay.
really good for like people that need to work on self-concept after a breakup, which I think we all kind of struggle with a little bit
Yeah.
after a breakup. Um, and then I love The Mountain Is You, and I love anything by Brene Brown. Anything that she writes is so inspirational and
Mm.
helpful.
I think that's a big one. What you just said there is self-worth. Like you have to
Yeah,
just really believe like I'm as fucking good as anybody else out there. Like
you
just as
are.
simple as that. You really like you are, and it's don't let anybody say like, oh, you're this, you're that. Like, you don't fucking know me. Like,
Yeah, that's
because you
right.
say something about me, that makes it true. No, like,
Yeah.
so it's such nonsense. But it took me a long time to figure that out. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, yeah, because if you don't believe in yourself, then anything
Yeah.
someone else says negative about you, you believe them. You
It's
believe them.
which is mind blowing to me. Like, why would we
Yeah.
ever let someone have the power over us? Like,
Mm-hmm.
think that. You know what I mean?
I
It's
do.
wild. Yeah,
It
it's
is
wild.
wild.
Ashley, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been amazing. Like, I've loved this
I
conversation.
love
We're going to
it.
come back on again. You're definitely coming back on again.
Oh,
Please tell
good. Yay.
everybody. Please tell everybody where they can find you, listen to you, follow you, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you can find me on my website, thisiswhereweheal.com. You can find me on my podcast, This Is Where We Heal. That's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the other things where we talk about healing from relationships. You can find me on any social as Ashley Taylor Maland, Maland. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. And we'll see you back here next week.
Okay. All
Bye.
right. Thank you so much. Have a great day and happy Valentine's Day.